that are not true.
So,
and have a real conversation back and forth rather than judge them. They could still they may never believe it, or it might not change their minds, but we don't know that. But to allow them to say it and there's no response, particularly, and it doesn't have to be the trans issue. It could be a friend who had another issue that made them flip. If they're saying something that you know not to be true, why not talk about it? Not judge them, have an open conversation, show them the facts. In the trans situation, knowing that Donald Trump signed it could have been something that they weren't aware of.
Okay.
Right? But we don't know because we don't communicate. We got to get better at telling the real issue and not what the GOP tells us the issue is, because that's what they do.
And that's really good too that you have that information, because it shifts us out of having to be defensive when you actually have the real fact about that. That's really a cool point. You know, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking about something that happened before the election. I was out having coffee with a relatively new friend, somebody who does not consider herself political. She told me that her fiance was Republican. She wasn't sure what she was going to do as far as voting. And we started to talk, and I was like really trying to get her on Team Blue. And I did something which I've always known to do, which is to find the personal, find the place where something really hits somebody in the heart. So we started talking about abortion, about women's rights, about women's bodily autonomy. And she's a very cool woman in her mid-50s who has a career and mom of 3 boys and, you know, really a powered woman. But we started to have that conversation. And I'm getting into, you know, abortion can be really, really touchy. And as we talked, her eyes started to well up. And suddenly she just broke down and she told me this story about being like 15 years old and some girl at school telling her that she was pregnant, and the girl coming to her, and this woman was from like a really super Christian family, and she didn't know what to do and she didn't know how to help her, and she was terrified. And she finally just, her heart knew that she needed to help the girl, and she went to her mom and she got her mom to help get the girl the abortion. And it was like like the dam broke. And it became very personal for her, the whole issue. And it's like, that's where you have to meet people. It's more than just talk. It's more than what's in your head. You have to find the thing that really affects somebody and gives them the understanding that this is about them. You know, I mean, people going back again to the manosphere and to women and emotions, you know, when people tell me stop taking it personally, I go, I don't, there's no other way I want to take it other than personally. If you can make it personal with people, that's the opening in my experience.
So again, I don't know what law you're referring to that's unsigned, but that's not the issue, right? The issue is this perception, right? The Dems put off a perception that, you know, I often say the Republicans are in denial about climate science, and the Dems seemingly are in denial about biology. And that is a perception, right? And them, the reason, again, presidential elections are an individual thing, but it's a team sport, right? The red team puts up this perception that with respect to that particular issue, they're going to protect the kids, right? They're going to protect their daughter who plays sports from having to compete against a guy, right? That's the perception that they put up. I'm not going to get into the arguments about the fact that there's only a handful of them that actually compete, but that doesn't matter because their perception is their reality. And the blue team does a terrible job of, one, taking a common sensory position, number two, and two, dispelling this perception. That's a problem. And me having a one-on-one conversation is not going to solve that very macro problem that they have.
I have to kind of agree with both of you. But especially the lady Deborah, you're right about, you know, having a conversation with people, but once they have certain things in their mindset, because if you knew, you know, Trump's base is a lot of evangelicals, okay? And their whole mindset is Christian nationalism.